All right, that's good. All right, so today we are gonna talk about the second paper, right? The last time we talked about my research paper, the first one, okay? And this time is the second paper. The last time was about the scientific celebrity, okay? Scientific celebrity, you remember, that. And this time is a little different topic, okay? Little different topic, okay? So this time we'll talk about some roles, how the types of character work to increase our jobs, okay? Our jobs. So it's a very important topic, all right? Important topic. We want to find some meaningful implications through this paper, okay? So let me make sure that I use the YouTube channel. I'm a YouTuber, so I use YouTube channel. So I just recorded the last time meeting. Okay? So you can watch it if you miss anything, if you want it. But actually, this class is every time I just recording. So on the canvas, you can download the record. But the problem is it's a long record. Okay, almost 80 minutes. So it takes a long time to process the video, okay, until you see the video. So it takes about 7 to 8 hours after class. So our class, the finish is over in the morning. Then actually you can see the video at the evening, okay, or the next day. Okay. So if you want to record it, okay, if you want a record of the class, okay, I'm gonna keep it every time. So you can search on Canvas, okay, or you can ask me the what I recorded, okay, right? And simulations, these cafe simulations. I talked with a couple of students before, and you probably got an email from the Biz Cafe, the company. Okay, so I don't see any problem so far. Okay? They are working very, very good. They are working very diligently. So you don't need to worry about playing the game at this point. Okay, so as soon as you're ready, so you register and navigate what the game is, what the website is. Okay, then actually we have two practice rounds. Okay, two practice rounds before doing the regular rounds. Okay, so two practice rounds. I will be with you. We will be together. So I think two practice rounds will be enough to be familiar with the game. So you don't have anything to do at this point, but except that you are ready to the game in terms of registrations or whatever, something like that. Okay? Other than that, I'm not worried about anything about the simulations at this point. Okay, it's all right. Any question about our class so far? Okay, all right. So let's talk about the paper. All right. Then for the next meeting, Thursday meeting, we are going to start a new chapter, chapter 1. Okay, the textbook. Okay. So this paper is a differential effects of private and public funding in the medical device industry. Okay. All right. So public and private funding. Okay. So we are actually, I assume that we are familiar with the funding. Okay, the funding, the money, capital, right? Money, capital, and yeah, let's talk about that. Okay, so I assume that you read this paper. Okay, this is what expert review, expert ERMD, right? Expert review of medical device paper. So this paper is published at the not the management journal in the but in the at the science journal. This is a purely science journal. So actually, my readership is the management researchers and also science researchers. Actually, management researchers are scientists too, but they are social scientists. But the medical device scientists, actually medical scientists, they are what? Non-social scientists. Okay. So my readership of my papers are both. Okay. Management field and scientists. Okay. So they like the my approach based on the social science to look at what they are doing and their performance implications. So that's why they publish this paper in their journals. Okay. So questions. So what is the story about? Please share the story with your team. Same question in the first paper, right? So this question increase your understanding levels. And the second, discuss this paper in the framework two fundamental concepts. Again, efficiency and effectiveness. We talked about this question too in terms of scientific celebrity. But this time we talk about the medical device industries, the types of capital and number of jobs. Okay, jobs. Okay. So in this paper, they talk about efficiency, effectiveness. Apply the framework of efficiency, effectiveness. Okay. And the last question is, if you are authorized to allocate the private and public financial resources in the U.S., how will you do? Okay. What's gonna do? All right. So this is very practical question, right? Okay. You need to think of. So you are the high level of the officials to allocate, okay, the private and public financial resources in the U.S. Then what are you gonna do? All right, 3 questions. Okay. So same as we did in the first meeting. Okay. You will go to your own room with your team and discuss in 10 minutes. Okay. In 10 minutes, then we will discuss as a whole class. Okay. So number of rooms, we have 4 teams and 10 minutes. Okay, now you go your own room. All right.
You are currently the only person in this conference.
Right. Okay. All right. So everyone's coming back. All right. Did you have a good discussions with your team?
Yeah, it was good.
All right. So every teams are ready? Just 10 minutes. 10 minutes was okay? Enough?
Yes, sir.
All right, great. All right, sounds good. All right, so let us talk about the first question. What is the story about? You share the story with your team, okay? So anybody can start. What's the story about? Anyone? Please start.
I can go.
All right, great. Marv, go ahead.
So basically, it was about the how funding in the medical industry impacts like the economic landscape of that region. And you, like in the paper, you looked like 5 years after the funding to see how effective it was with like the level of employment.
Great, very concise. Okay, very right and concise summary. So this paper is, somewhat very simple, very clear. Okay, the effects of capital on the number of jobs. All right, number of jobs. How to capital increase the number of jobs. Okay, in the medical device industry. So, what is the newness of this paper? What do you think? Why this paper is attractive? Why this paper is published? Okay, and also actually, this paper is invited to expand the ideas. Then, actually, I published one more paper based on the same data, same ideas, but a little bit different approach. Okay, so that says okay, many people are interested in this topic. Okay, of course, number of jobs, very important jobs. Okay, very important topics. So what is the newness of this paper? How do you think, Bart? Any idea?
Well, I
Anyone?
think this like paper you could say is like kind of like important, especially now with like COVID and everything, and how like how important funding is to like your research, like developing medication and
Okay.
cures.
Yeah, it's a medical device industry, so it's medical issues. So it is related with the this such a pandemic environments. Okay. All right. Anyone? Did you see the newness, the good points of the paper? Why this paper was attractive? Paid attention. Why? All right, Evie actually got a chest in. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. Public and private money. Yes. Okay. All right. Good. Good point. Good point. All right. So Abby said that public and private. Public and private. All right. So usually when people are talking about money, people are talking about the money. Josh, you have something to talk?
No, sir. I wasn't able to hear you. I had to come back in.
Okay. when people are talking about the money, okay, they see money is just one homogeneous thing, all right? Just money is just money, all right? But in this paper, the newness of this paper is, as an author, I say, I see two types of money. Money is not homogeneous. Okay? Money is not just the same money. Public money and private monies are different things. Okay? They have different objectives and they have different behaviors. Okay? So I just divide two types of capital in this paper. Right? Private, venture capital money, and public, NIH grant money. All right. So venture capital money is a private money that invests in startups. Okay? Startups. Then, if these startups growing up, then this money have a capital gains. So VC, private money, proposed to have a capital gains, right? More money. And how about the public money, research grants, NIH research grants? Okay. Their purpose is not capital gains, right? They don't want to make money, but they want more scientific discoveries or publications or something like that. Okay. So their purpose are different. Okay? Different. Right? So because their purposes are different, right? Their behaviors are also different too. Right? Their behaviors are very, very different. Think about that. To pursue capital gains, venture capital money, all right? To pursue capital gains in a short-term period. Okay. So they want to pick up startups that are very promising to develop technologies. Okay. So they push short-term performance. Okay. For what? To have capital gains. Okay. But public money, okay, they cannot push scientific discoveries for researchers. Okay. It takes time, right? Then they spend some time, okay, the longer time, okay, to have scientific discoveries, publications. Okay? There are many different ways to see these two types of capital, private and public. Okay, so I just divide these two types of capital, right? Then see how differently these different types impact the number of jobs. Okay? It is very important to see it because we cannot assume the capital is homogeneous because each types of capital are actually working differently. So we need to understand how these differences are. Then we can have better strategy to use these capitals. All right. And anything else you saw, oh, this is newness of this paper. This is interesting perspective in this paper. Anyone else?
Yeah, I really, because I never thought about it reading the paper before, like how public money is used for knowledge rather than like a venture capitalist fund's money's purpose is basically to profit for a product. I hadn't really never thought about the difference and what money can mean from different areas.
All right. Okay. All right. Yes, that's what I wrote this paper. Okay, that's why many people were interested in this paper. Even the my co-authors. Probably you can see my co-authors. David Koo is a Georgia Tech guy, and Ellis Edman, he's a MIT guy. Okay, so actually the MIT guy, my co-author, and he's just pure scientist. He's a medical, scientist. So actually, he was talking about the exactly same thing Josh said. As a medical scientist, he thought he knew this field, but actually he never thought about these types of approach. So the types of capital is very important. And the one more thing I can think the newness of this paper is the innovation thing. In a model, in the paper, in a model, usually the economists have thought about, they think about the model that the number of jobs is determined by the capital and the labor and something, some topics, some factors. Okay? Then these factors are independent each other. All right, that was the most economist perspective on this model. So actually, they thought the capital and innovative resources are independent things. Okay? But actually, in my perspective, probably not. Okay? If in some regions, if there are high level of capital, there's a high probability of that in that region, the higher level of innovative resources, because innovation most times innovation requires money, right? Capital. So that is I just combine capital and innovative resources. Okay, then that is one more newness of this paper. I will talk about that with my mother. Okay, so that is newness of this paper. And so anything else? So what is the study about? So private capital and public capital, how these two types of capital work differently. Anyone? How two types of capital work in different ways. How differently? Anyone can start?
The way they're gathered, like how venture capitalists go about giving money and getting money, and how private industries go from getting money from venture capitalists, how they pitch, because they pitch for profit, basically. Like, because a venture capitalist fund is looking to make money off of it, they're not just going to give you their money. And then how public funding goes about, it's for the betterment of society, basically, the foundation of knowledge building. No one's looking to gain a large sum of money.
Exactly. All right. So two types of capital are apparently different, and how these differences differently impact the number of jobs. Our dependent variable is number of jobs. Okay. How these two types of capital differently works on the number of jobs, impact on number of jobs. Anyone?
The number of jobs is different in the industries. For when you're with private industries, the workers on average are going to make more. It's going to be more competition driven in that aspect, and then public funding. That is where you have a lot of scientists that are working, or a lot of medical industry workers that are working not for a large sum of money, but for the opportunity to publish, the opportunity to seek recognition as pioneers in their field.
Okay, great. Good point. Anyone else? Anyone else? All right. If there is no one, I just want to briefly talk about the story. So, we talked about VC and NIH, different types of capital, right? So, types of capital, we talked about two types of capital, VC and NIH, private and public, okay? And they have different motivations, okay? So, how can we enhance the regional economy or jobs? That is the purpose of this paper. Then we need to understand two types of capital. Okay? Then how these two types of capital impact the number of jobs. This is the main topic of this paper. This is model. All right. This is very conventional model. Okay? Oh, this is not conventional. This is my model. All right. So conventional approach is no concern about the type of capital and indirect effect through intellectual capital. So you just read, okay, this model. So this is number of jobs. Number of jobs determined by these factors, V, N, L, R, something like that. Okay. So V is capital, okay? And R is intellectual capital. So intellectual capital is function of V2. Okay? So these two capital not independent. Okay? And also this is probably public capital. Okay. All right. So two types of capital, and R is the function of two types of capital. These are 2 points actually bring up in this paper. This is a visualized model. So VC funding is focused on the formation of new entities, financial objectives, applied research, patents, something like that. Okay. So VC funding can impact intellectual capital. Okay? And intellectual capital impact regional jobs. Okay? So this is a chain. All right. Money impact intellectual capital, knowledge, and knowledge increase number of jobs. Okay? Or money, VC funding, can increase number of jobs directly. All right. So I say this is a direct effect. Okay. This is indirect effect. Yeah. So NIH funding can do same thing. Okay. Can directly increase number of jobs because the research grants are, invested in that region. Okay. So NIH funding is focused on existing entities, public objective, basic research. Okay. And also NIH funding increased intellectual capital, okay, and also increased regional jobs. So this is chain. Okay. This is indirect effect. So VC direct effect, indirect effects. Okay. NIH direct effect and indirect effects on number of jobs. These are models and hypotheses. Okay. So how do I test? I collect all the data from the census, okay, and some additional data from multiple sources. Then I just focus on the regions, each region, like the town you live in, like Rome, Atlanta, and Gwinnett, something like that. Okay? So I see a cluster mapping project developed by Harvard Business School. Okay? Then following 248 medical device clusters over the 12 years period between 1990 and 2001. So about 3,000 observations. So dependent variable is employment level, number of jobs. And independent variable is VC and NIH funding, and we see intellectual capital. Okay, intellectual capital. Then C. So far so good. Any question so far? All right. If please type your short answer in the chat screen. If you don't want to turn on and off your microphone. Okay. So any questions so far? Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So dependent variables. This is descriptive statistics. So look at this. The level of employment in the high VC funding region, the level of employment is high, and low VC funding region is low. Okay? So the level of employment is determined by VC, right? So it's a correlative. So high VC funding, then high number of jobs. It's so natural, right? So VC money invested in the region. That means more companies, more startups, so more jobs. Okay, it's so natural. And NIH funding, high NIH funding clusters in the regions, okay, and high level of employment. And low NIH funding regions, low level of employment. Okay? It's natural too. It's natural too. Okay? Because more research grants, then this research process hires some people, like PhDs and doctors and people. So more research grants and more people hired. So it's so natural. Okay? And these are direct effects of VC NIH funding. I used very simple econometric techniques to calculate direct effects, indirect effects. Very simple econometric techniques. But I'm not going to explain that because that is not the purpose of this paper. So I just want to show direct effects of VC and NIH funding. So you remember this dependent variable. The level of employment, number of jobs. All right. Then T plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in each model. Okay. T plus 1 means T is that year. That year, okay, the money is invested, granted. Okay. And T plus 1 is the next year. T plus 2 is the following, the next year, the following year, the second year later. And T plus 3, 4, 5, something like that. Okay. So VC funding and NIH funding both are independent variables. And look at this. Now you see this. Okay. Oh, these regression coefficients are positive and significant. So if the higher VC funding, okay, there is a higher VC funding, and the level of employment increases. All right. And same thing, NIH funding. High NIH funding, positive and significant regression coefficient. So higher NIH funding and higher level of employment. And this phenomenon, this phenomenon continues in T plus 1, T plus 2, T plus 3, and T plus 4, 5. So when money is invested in the region, VC funding and NIH funding both increase level of employment. All right. So these effects can continue for several years. Okay? So this is one of the findings of this paper. Then I just calculate from some econometric techniques, direct, indirect effects, and total effects of VC and NIH funding, and probably this. Okay? Look at this. These are total effects. Okay, and this is number 3 and 4. Number 3 is a VC. Sorry, number 1 is let me verify this. So this is NIH total. The number 1 is NIH total, and number 2 and purple is NIH direct. Okay, all right, I see. So number 2 is NIH direct effects. Okay, so direct effect means no throughout through the intellectual capital. Okay, so NIH funding direct impact number of jobs, but it's very high, okay, directly. And VC direct is this, number 4. Okay, so look at this. Direct effects of VC is lower than the NIH direct effects, and also NIH direct effects are just fluctuate, but in some sense is maintained, okay, for longer time. But VC is drastically decreased as time goes. Okay, so VC investment, VC grant, okay, increase number of jobs directly, okay, for the first time, but this impact can decrease as time goes. Right? This is what shows this direct effect shows number 2 and number 4. Okay, and number 5 is NIH indirect effect, and number 6 is VC indirect effects. Okay, so indirect effects. Look at this. Indirect effects means money increase intellectual capital, and intellectual capital increase number of jobs. Okay, so NIH indirect effects, okay, it goes up as time goes. Okay, so but VC indirect effects just maintain same level. So it says, oh, NIH creates some intellectual capital, but this intellectual capital has some longer term impacts on the number of jobs. Okay? This is so natural because NIH focuses on what? Scientific discoveries, publications. So these types of knowledge can have some time, right? Some time to realize in the industry, all right? It takes several years. Okay, one scientific discoveries to be industrialized to make a product. So it takes time. It's a longer effect. So indirect effects of NIH is somewhat great, but it takes a longer time. These are the units, the findings of this paper. Right? So as we discussed already, okay, the number of jobs is determined by two types of capital, VC and NIH, but these two types of capital work in different ways. This is the main story of this paper. Okay. Any questions so far? Any comment? All right, great. So I can assume that at this point, your understanding of the paper is great. Then, two fundamental concepts, efficiency, effectiveness. How do you think about that? All right. How do you think about that? Please start any team. Based on your team discussions, please start any team. Any team can start it. Efficiency, effectiveness. Okay, how do you apply? How to apply this separate framework? Okay, Muff, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. So what we talked about in our team is like the efficiency of like the funding, it's not as efficient because it takes several years until like it actually impacts the employment in the like economic region of the area. But like after 4 or 5 years, it's pretty effective as it creates more jobs and more opportunities for other people.
That's great. Good point. Good point. So probably efficiency is not, but effectiveness, yeah, it works. So public capital, right? So what types of capital? VC and the NIH.
Oh, well, I would say like the NIH is probably more effective because like that graph that you showed, like after like basically it looks like once they find like whatever research they're like publicizing in like their third or fourth year, it shows like once they publish that, more people are going to get interested. It's going to offer up more jobs. But with the venture capital, they're basically just funding it. And basically after 1 or 2 years, if nothing's good, they probably just stop funding it and they're not hiring any more people after that.
Very good, very good, very insightful. Yes, BC probably can be focused on the efficiency and NIH probably effectiveness. Yeah, that makes great sense because NIH focused on the scientific discovery. All right, scientific discovery is not determined by efficiency, right? But there are some efficiency concepts in the scientific discoveries too. But in general sense, scientific discovery is not focused on the efficiency, actually effectiveness. The nature of science. Efficiency. Okay, VC, yes, of course. They focus on the efficiency of capital. All right. They don't want any waste of capital. They want to reduce the waste. All right. Good point. Great point. Good points. I love it. Okay. Any other team?
We agreed with Murph's team a lot about how the efficiency in the first couple years is not as going to be as high as it will be after you see production or after you see progress in it. Then you see a lot more people going into the industry or going into that, and more funding. And it also does differ. We can discuss between public funding and venture capitalist funds. The efficiency works differently in both of those because one is more driven about the development of knowledge and the other one is driven more for profit. So efficiency is going to work different in both of those industries.
Exactly. Good. Exactly. I love it. Okay. I totally understand your points. Okay. Good. Great. Good discussions. Okay. So you have good position to understand this. Okay. Phenomenon. Okay. So your discussions are at the level of the number of the types of capital. Direct. No. The public, VC, and NIH. Okay. Good points. All right. Then anyone else? You want to comment on this question? Okay. So the main point. So let me slightly change the level of analysis. So you are, and in this paper, are talking about two types of capital, right? Then let's look at a little bit higher. Okay, a little bit higher. The society. Okay. In the perspective of society, in this level, right? Efficiency, effectiveness can be seen in different ways. Okay? Because society contains two types of capital too, right? Okay. So public VC, and NIH. So efficiency, as you point out, probably both have efficiency perspectives, efficiency components, but okay, we is more focused on the efficiency. So if there is any area, what region, or in hypothetical anything, okay, in the society, okay, if the efficiency is more required in this region area, then probably society can allocate DC rather than NIH. Okay? If effectiveness is required more in some regions, probably society allocate the resources in that effectiveness, in that VC, not VC, the NIH funding in these regions. Okay, so you can balance these two types of capital in terms of efficiency, effectiveness, in the perspective of society in the higher level. Right? Then it's great. It's a better strategy to use your resources. Okay? Great. Okay. Number 3. All right, let's move on. Number 3. If you are authorized to allocate the private and public financial resources in the U.S., how will you do? What are you gonna do? Okay. Anyone can start your discussions, team discussions. How do you think about the last question? Anyone can start. Okay, Barf, go ahead.
Okay, so in our group discussion, we kind of talked about how like the private financial resources there needs to be a way to control, like make sure like they're kind of make sure they're not too greedy, because like if you like a lot of people today think like a lot of the COVID cures that they're trying to find out are motivated by like financial reasoning. Like certain scientists have stocks in like certain businesses, and they're promoting their business to basically using their business to as like a way to basically uh, not only how do you say it like Fauci, like they a lot of stuff about Fauci was him and Bill Gates are invested in this one company, and they're promoting the company, saying like that this medicine can help possibly cure COVID, and people are taking that out of context and saying like, oh, they're greedy, they're trying to promote they're only focusing about themselves and not like the community as a whole. And so basically, like, there needs to like I know public funding, there's not as much like available compared to like private, because you have like businesses and making a lot of profit. So there needs to be a way to ensure that the private like funding is more focused on helping the community instead of like making a profit.
All right. Okay, it's a good point. It's a time-sensitive issues. For example, the pharmaceutical industries. If they say, okay, I just launched a project to develop a vaccine, all right? I'm not sure about the destination of this vaccine, this project. I don't care actually, but I just studied to start this vaccine project. Then their corporation, their price of stocks are skyrocketing. All right, 20% increase. Okay. It's a ridiculous. It's a ridiculous. The vaccine projects are very, very risky, highly, highly risky, right? There's very low probability of the to develop actually the successful the vaccines. So they usually actually they announcement or something like that without any promising result, okay, doesn't make money. But in this pandemic situations, they are just announcement, nothing. They don't have nothing yet, but the announcement, we launched a vaccine develop project, and it increased 20%. Okay, so actually corporations become more and more greedy to have this chance. Okay, that is the reality too. That is the reality too. All right. So then, so in these situations, and private capital probably they have more efficiency things, but it is very hard to focus on the effectiveness things. Okay? Effectiveness. So in these situations, okay, so if you are control these situations, where you should be very cautious about such a right moral hazard, the possibilities, moral hazard situations, or lower ethical standards. All right, it's a good point. Okay, so okay, we will see what's going on. Okay, we will see what's going on. And any other point?
Yes, kind of like how what he said about greediness, but we discussed like in the first part of the process, because with it being with venture capitalist funds, when they're investing in industries, they're more likely to falsify information so they can keep getting funding. And that's an issue I know still in the medical industry today, that they falsify information so they can keep getting funding to get there. And there needs to be more guidelines there to make sure the information is not being falsified, that it's going about the right way, so it's not just about getting the money.
Mm-hmm. That's right. That makes point too. Okay. All right. Good point. And any other point? Okay. If you have any other point, please let me know. I want to wrap up. Any other point from your team discussions? All right. So you actually have great points, but let me go back to the paper. Okay. Then wrap up. So think about that. Private capital has a short-term effect. Public capital and have long-term effects. So if you control these two types of capital, okay. So think about a region. Okay. This region has nothing. All right. Zero base. Okay. Then which one go first? Private and public. Okay. You can think of this. Okay. Private and public. Actually, there are both ways. Okay. There are both ways. Okay. Public capital go in that region and develop the scientific discoveries, basic knowledge. And based on this basic knowledge, okay, private capital go then focus on efficiency to increase economic impact. Then number of jobs increase. Okay, so this is a general concept. Okay? This is a general process. Public capital go first and develop the basic stuff, and VC go focus on efficiency things. All right. So, and in some regions, the reverse way is working too. Reverse way working too. Okay. So balance between two types of capital, private, public, and the appropriate combination of these two capital can increase number of jobs. Okay. All right, this is the point. This is the point we make, okay, with this paper. Okay. That is pretty much about that. All right, so this paper is very simple. Okay, very simple, but actually it provides two newness. Okay, two newness, new points. Okay, to see the very important issues, the number of jobs. Okay, so that's why this paper is attractive and paid attention. Okay. All right, that's pretty much about for today's meeting. All right. Any question and comments about the paper or discussions? No. All right. Oh, record. Some of you actually asked me about the recording of the class. Okay. Actually, the BBB, this video conference platform, provides records. Okay. So you can find your recordings. You can find your records on the under the conference. Each conference tab. But you should know. It takes a long time. You should know. It takes a long time. I just wanna remind you that. Okay. So you can find your recordings too. All right. Any other question? Any question before we go? Please let me know. Any other question or comments? All right. You say no. Okay. So we are ready to go. Okay. So for the next time, we're gonna talk about chapter 1. So you are supposed to read the chapter 1 in advance, okay, very carefully, and then you submit your case, the chapter case, okay, to the Canvas, all right, the Canvas, okay. Then at the beginning of the class, we're gonna take the one case, and then we discuss it and continue the class. Okay. All right. No question, no comment. Then I will see you on Thursday. Thank you so much.